title Aita for breaking up with my girlfriend after she said I looked like a slave owner? I am a 25-year-old white man, but what defines me more than that is the culture and community that raised me. When I was just 2 years old, my mother remarried, a black man who became not just my stepdad, but a guiding force in my life. Since then, I've lived in a predominantly black neighborhood, surrounded by people who I love like family. This environment taught me values of accountability, resilience, and community support. When I started dating my now ex-girlfriend, a 25-year-old white woman, I knew she wasn't as connected to the community as I was. She had moved into my neighborhood for college several years ago and stayed after graduation. We dated for 7 months, and while things seemed fine on the surface, cracks began to form when I realized she rarely made the effort to integrate into my world. She avoided family gatherings with my stepdad's side and politely declined when I suggested we move in together. At that time, I didn't think much of it. I told myself people move at their own pace in relationships. But now that I've had more time to reflect, I see her reluctance as foreshadowing the conflict that tore us apart. Sometimes, life sneaks up on you when you least expect it. Last week I came home to find that my garage window had been broken. My neighbor's 3 kids, all black boys between the ages of 8 and 12, had accidentally kicked their football through the glass mid-game. When I picked up the ball and surveyed the damage, I wasn't upset. Kids make mistakes, just like I did when I was their age. I walked over to their house, returning the football, and spoke to their mom. She was incredibly apologetic and anxious about the situation, going so far as to offer to pay for the damage herself. But that felt unnecessary. Instead of taking money, I saw this as an opportunity for the boys to learn something valuable. I asked their mom if they could help me repair the window instead. My reasoning was simple. When I was a kid, I destroyed an elderly neighbor's garden while racing on my bike. Instead of scolding me or telling my parents, she handed me a trowel and made me replant the garden with her. That lesson stayed with me, and I decided to pass something similar on to these boys. Their mom agreed, and together, the kids and I worked on fixing the window. They were skeptical at first, but I explained each step, measuring the open frame, cutting the glass, and finally installing it. By the end, they were joking with one another, visibly proud of their work. Their mom later came by to thank me, saying her boys wouldn't stop talking about how much fun they had and how grown up they felt. For me, it was just a day of neighbors looking out for each other, but to my now ex-girlfriend, it was something much darker. Later that day, my girlfriend came over and she saw me and the boys just finishing the job. She didn't say much at the time, so I assumed she understood what was happening, but later that night, her anger erupted without warning. "You humiliated those kids," she said, "making them fix the window. That wasn't okay." I was caught completely off guard. "Humiliated?" I asked, genuinely confused. I explained my reasoning, how small lessons like these build character and responsibility, but she didn't let up. Finally, she said the words that changed everything. "Do you not see how it looked? You, a white man, standing there while 3 black kids worked for you. It looked like you were a slave owner." I felt the air leave the room. My reality, kids learning a life skill and taking accountability, was now being filtered through a lens of racial power dynamics I never saw. In disbelief, I asked her, "Seriously? You see kids learning teamwork and responsibility and your mind jumps to slavery?" She countered that I was missing her point. She said that as a white man, I should have been more aware of how my actions could be perceived. But all I heard were accusations that seemed rooted in her own prejudices. Sleep didn't come easily to me that night. Instead, I lay awake thinking about what she had said and how it reframed our entire relationship. For the first time, I questioned whether her reluctance to move in with me or attend gatherings with my family was tied to something deeper. If she could see this moment, a simple act of community bonding, through a lens of exploitation, what else did she see when she looked at my life? Did she see my stepdad, my cousins, my friends as people? Or did she reduce these relationships to racial narratives I'd never considered? And what would this mean for our future? Would she see our potential children as different? Would she carry this lens into parenting and divide our children into categories instead of seeing them simply as people? As these thoughts swirled, one realization became clear. This wasn't just about fixing a window. It was about a fundamental gap in how we viewed the world. The next morning, I took her out to breakfast and ended the relationship. I told her, I can't be with someone who looks at me helping kids and sees a racist history instead of a teachable moment. She accused me of twisting her words and called me overly sensitive, but I couldn't let her version of the story override what I knew to be true. Her comment wasn't a simple critique. It revealed a deeper misunderstanding of what I value most: community connection, shared progress, and seeing people in their full humanity. Since the breakup, a part of me has wondered if I overreacted. Was she just pointing out nuances I missed? Was this a moment for growth that I shut down too quickly? Some friends have told me I was too hasty, while others firmly believe her comments were a red flag. My neighbor's warm gratitude reassures me I did the right thing, but the questions linger. Did I misread her intentions? Or were they too far removed from the life I've built to ever align with my own? At its core, this situation isn't just about one argument. It's about the ways we see the world and the people in it, and how those perspectives shape our relationships. Helping those kids wasn't about race. It was about mentorship, responsibility, and community. So Reddit, maybe you can enlighten me. Was breaking up with her the right choice to protect my values, or was I blind to a lesson I could have learned? Aita.